This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter, and this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, more of our podcasts at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts, and you can like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/The Obsessive Viewer. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer at the minimum rate of $1 per month for an exclusive RSS feed with content recorded specifically for Patreon supporters and access to special vlog videos at the rate of $5 per month. Again, that's at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Okay, so I'm your host, the aforementioned Matt Hurt, and I'm here with yet another special edition of the podcast. It is currently April 2nd, 2020, and we are closing out day 16 of the first and, dear God, hopefully last ever COVID-19 Film Festival. So the COVID-19 Film Festival is basically me chronicling all the movies I watch while working from home and quarantining myself during this global pandemic that we're all party to. I'm presenting these podcast episodes as if I were covering a film festival. I'm going to have special days that are programmed by the other hosts, and they may Skype in to record with me as well, like they are in this episode with Mike. So that'll come later. As I have been doing in the past, I want to give a rundown of some stats for the coronavirus here in Indiana specifically. So this is day 16 of my quarantine. Started March 17th was the last day I worked in the office. But I have been going into the office one day. But I cover all that in my recording with Mike later. So anyway, I had originally, since this episode is about day 6, which was March 24th, I originally was going to record March 24th, but as you can expect with all this stuff going on, and I'm sure that listeners, you guys are experiencing some level of this too, it just really messes with your head a little bit. I've been having slight panic attacks here and there, and it's been rough, as it has been rough for everyone. So I didn't get a chance to record March 24th. And I got wrapped up playing video games because I figured that's a pretty solid way to escape the world that we live in, is to play video games. And I have been playing The Outer Worlds, oddly enough, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good distraction. So anyway, having said that, I intended to record March 24th, and when I intended to record, I actually made notes. So I had the stats from March 24th, and I have the stats for April 2nd now. So that's a time span of 9 days, right? Yeah, 9 days. So March 24th in Indiana alone, there were 365 positive cases of COVID-19. There were 12 deaths, and a total of 2,931 people were tested for coronavirus. That was 9 days ago. As of today, April 2nd, there have been 3,039 positive cases in Indiana, 78 deaths, and a total of 16,285 people have been tested for it. As far as worldwide stats, the number of positive cases worldwide of coronavirus is over 1 million right now, as I'm recording this April 2nd. More than 58,000 people have died from it, and nearly 209,000 people have also recovered from it worldwide. So, crazy stats, horrifying stats, and they just announced here in Indiana that all schools throughout the state are closed throughout the rest of the school year. The students are going to be doing e-learning as they have been, so that's happening. And, so pretty crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some news items here before I get into the episode. By the way, this episode is covering day 6 of the COVID-19 Film Festival, in which I watch a handful of things that our recurring co-host Mike White has offered for me to watch, or has assigned for me to watch. He's programmed the day of film festivaling, essentially. So I'll get to that in a bit, but first, COVID-19 news as of April 2nd. So last time on the podcast, I talked about how Evangeline Lilly had posted about how she has been, how she basically didn't care about the quarantine and everything and all that. I do want to say that on March 26th, she did post on Instagram a very long apology post, talking about how now she's taking it seriously and everything. She writes, this is a partial bit of it. I'll put the link in the show notes. Evangeline Lilly says, hello everyone. I'm writing you from my home where I have been social distancing since March 18th, when social distancing was instituted in the small community where I am currently living. At the time of my March 16th post, the directives from the authorities were that we not congregate in groups of more than 250 people, and that we wash our hands regularly, which we were doing. 2 days later, those directives changed, and despite my intense trepidation over the socioeconomic and political repercussions of this course of action, please know I am doing my part to flatten the curve, practicing social distancing, and staying home with my family. There's more, but I'll leave it to you guys to click the link in the show notes to check it out. But good on her for, recognizing that and posting that response. I wanted to do a bunch of... I wanted to basically put collect a bunch of tweets that I've come across, but it's gotten so fucking depressing that I don't know. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So I had one that from a Roland Scahill, at Roland Scahill on Twitter. I came across this tweet that said, my mom is a 69-year-old nurse and her hospital is deploying her to the front lines next week. She called me to tell me where important documents are if something happens, because this virus kills and kills quick. That's a quote from his mom. Now I know how it feels to have a loved one go to war. And to be clear, this isn't a criticism of our hospital, but to point out that nurses don't stop ever. They have no fear. They save our lives. Which is as good a time as any to say thank you to all the healthcare professionals and even everyone working, putting their safety and their health at risk to care for the people who are ill during all of this. So it's much appreciated. So yeah, oh gosh, I'm so glad I didn't collect more tweets. On more positive news, Cards Against Humanity posted on Facebook that they said that for over a year we've been working on a family edition of Cards Against Humanity. It's just like Cards Against Humanity, except we rewrote the entire game from scratch and play tested it extensively with kids so adults and children can have fun together. Today we're releasing a free print and play version to play while you're stuck at home. Download it here, and they have a link. I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's cardsagainsthumanity.familyedition.com. And I do want to mention one comment on that post just had me cracking up. All the comment said was a big black crayon, which I got a huge kick out of that. Finally, if you're listening to this before April 3rd at 8 p.m., we talked about on the podcast recently, what is recently relative to all of this, but we talked about it fairly recently that there's a new, indie, art house, film, theater opening up in Indianapolis, to kind of cater to just art house film geeks and everything. Obviously with all this stuff going on, they had to postpone their opening. It's the Can Theater, cancanindy.com. That's cancanindy.com. But what they're doing is, this is pretty cool. So they have a Slack channel that they're doing Can On Demand, where they basically, all you do is you just give them your email address. They accept you into the Slack, and they have basically movie night, essentially. So this week, Friday, April 3rd at 8 p.m., they're watching The Social Network. So basically how it works is that you just get on to the Slack channel and press play at 8 p.m. on The Social Network. It is available on Netflix, and watch it and chat with other film lovers on there. So check that out, cancanindie.com. Throw your support to any local business, really, but this is very much catered to our demographic of our listeners here. So yeah, definitely check that out. Okay, so without further ado, let's go into day 6 of the COVID-19 Film Festival presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. This day of the film festival, which was March 24th, 2020, was programmed by our own Mike White, who you will hear from later in this episode. So he chose for me 4 movies to watch. And a little peek behind the curtain, he originally chose Tigers Are Not Afraid on Shudder for me to watch, but since I'm watching these while I work, I couldn't really watch a movie that had subtitles. So I politely asked him to pick a different movie. So I ended up watching Little Monsters, but I'll get to that in a bit. So here are the movies that I'm going to be covering on this episode of the Obsessive Viewer podcast. The Headhunter, which is available on Shudder from 2018, Little Monsters from 2019, which is available on Hulu, Horror Noire, which is from 2019 and available on Shudder as well, and the Spotlight screening, which Mike and I will talk about later on in this episode, is 2018's Freaks, which is available on Netflix. Yeah, so let's get right into it. The first movie that I'm going to talk about is The Headhunter. Here's a clip from the trailer.
I always thought I could protect her. What took her from me is still out there. Back.
All right, so plot summary for The Headhunter, courtesy of IMDb. A medieval warrior's gruesome collection of heads is missing only one, the monster that killed his daughter years ago. So I rated on Letterboxd, The Headhunter 3 stars. So it's a very cool kind of low budget, purely kind of atmosphere piece, honestly. Like, it is kind of all tone and atmosphere. There's very little dialogue, which made it very difficult for me to watch while I worked, but very atmospheric and immersive in that respect. So it's just this guy wandering this medieval landscape that is collecting heads and battling monsters and stuff. Honestly, I didn't pay much attention to this movie, or it's not as fresh in my mind as I would have liked it to be, because I watched it like 9 days ago. But overall, it's pretty solid. It's very brisk, very brief. It's only an hour and 12 minutes long, and it's solid if you like kind of gruesome gore effects, as even in like a limited budgeted movie. It does deliver. At least it delivers somewhat throughout it. Like, I mean, it is a low budget movie, so the bits of action and gruesomeness are kind of. I want to stop just a little short of saying a few and far between, but when it happens well. But there's a lot of just. It's not a gore fest by any means. The set design, cinematography, locations, makeup, and costuming. All of these things, they make this movie a lot more immersive and visually stimulating. I would say. It's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful movie. Like, you can tell that it's a low budget movie, which isn't a bad thing by any stretch, but they do stretch that budget very well, and they use, I would love to see kind of a behind the scenes thing about how this movie was made, simply because it's clearly like a low budget affair, but it is something that is in the hands of very capable people who have created this world out of nothing on a limited budget. It's very atmospheric and beautiful to look at. The plot line, it's kind of a, I don't want to say standard plot, but it's a very, just not very engaging plot, to be honest. It's just a guy roaming around and he fights creatures and stuff. I mean, it wasn't a very engaging movie, unfortunately. As visually stimulating and as visually beautiful as it was, I just wasn't engaged by the story or anything. There's very little that's really there to talk about, to be honest. It's very sparse. Like I said, there's very limited dialogue. It's a lot of just tone and atmosphere, which, if you're into the tone, if you get wrapped up in the tone of the movie, you will be satisfied by the movie overall, I think. It's just something that if you're not into it, you're really not into it. Yeah, so that's The Headhunter. It's very brief. It's on Shudder, currently. From 2018. That's Mike's first pick for me to watch on day 6 of the COVID-19 Film Festival. It is available on Shudder. I said that already. Yeah. Anyway, you might get more out of it than I did. I believe Mike's Letterboxd review said that it's basically all the best bits of Lord of the Rings just compressed into an 80-some minute movie, which, I say that with the caveat that Mike isn't really into Lord of the Rings. Last I checked, he's not really into kind of the sword and sorcery kind of story and everything, or the kind of, that type of genre. So it is fairly high praise from Mike for him to connect to it. I'm glad that he did. I just couldn't really connect to it all that well, but the atmosphere, the tone, the general just direction of the movie did lead me to give it 3 stars on Letterboxd, because even though I couldn't appreciate it on a story level, I do appreciate it on a kind of visual level and technical achievement level, because it's very clear that it's a lower budget movie, and it's just gorgeous to look at. So yeah, so that's The Headhunter. It's available on Shudder. So, next up is the movie that I had Mike sub in for Tigers Are Not Afraid. I will eventually watch Tigers Are Not Afraid. I'll just need to find the time to watch that when I can devote my full attention to it, which should be fairly soon, because we are all made of time right now. But the movie that I had that he substituted for Tigers Are Not Afraid was 2019's Little Monsters on Hulu. It stars Lupita Nyong'o and Alexander England. Also, Josh Gad is in it. Here's a clip from the trailer of Little Monsters.
Lieutenant, sir, why are we here? It's zombies again.
Fast ones or slow ones, sir?
Slow.
Thank God they're slow.
Next stop, Pleasant Valley. Hi-ho, Teddy.
Aren't we having a super fun time on our trip?
I want you all in a line in front of me, and away we go.
Why are we stopping?
Must be something in the way.
What is it, Miss Caroline?
Stop the tractor!
Are you okay?
Yes! Don't be scared. Who remembers how to play tag? Well, those funny-looking people out there are it.
All right, plot summary, courtesy of IMDb, is a washed-up musician teams up with a teacher and a kids' show personality to protect young children from a sudden outbreak of zombies. So, Little Monsters, not to be confused with the, I think, 1989 movie with, I think, Fred Savage, and Howie Mandel. That movie freaked me out. Basically, Howie Mandel is a blue monster that lives under the bed of Fred Savage. And he goes under the bed into this whole monster world and everything. Movie freaked me out as a kid. Completely freaked me out. So anyway, that's not this movie though. Little Monsters stars Lupita Nyong'o and Alexander England. Very, very charming. It's a kind of zombie comedy and kind of a coming of age story, especially for Alexander England's character as the washed up musician who doesn't really, he's finding his place after a breakup essentially. And Lupita Nyong'o is the teacher of his kindergarten-aged nephew, and through circumstances, they find themselves all together on a class trip during a zombie outbreak. So, the movie has a lot going for it. Cool makeup effects for the zombies. That's kind of, we're at a point, I think, where, I mean, that's fairly standard. Like, there's a lot of zombie effects, obviously, or there's a lot of zombie fiction out there, so it's hard to really stand out or anything. This was very, I don't want to say it was nothing really special. It was kind of just basically like zombie makeup 101, which isn't a derogatory thing toward it. It's just, they're recognizable zombies. So the charm in this movie, the kind of beauty of this movie is in the performance of Alexander England and Lupita Nyong'o and their chemistry and everything. It's a coming of age story for Alexander England's character. He is kind of like, he doesn't know how to interact with kids. And that's something that I kind of latched onto. I kind of, was very, I related to that a lot, because I don't, first of all, I don't want kids. I'm not going to have kids. Second of all, I just don't know how to interact with kids. Like, I've got anxiety over that and everything. But that was demonstrated very well in this movie. He's kind of a vulgar character and everything, kind of the vulgar uncle, and that played to some good comedic beats and everything, as well as good, development for the character as well. When the movie gets to the point where he and his nephew are on the class trip and the zombies break out and like there's the zombie apocalypse starts. When it gets to that, that's where the movie kind of hits its kind of satirical groove. So there's a character played by Josh Gad who is, like whatever the plot description said, he was a kids show personality. He is a scene stealer through and through. So when the group gets kind of holed up in a certain area and the zombies are attacking, something that I really appreciate about this movie is the way that it handles its zombie satire. So, I mean, you have movies like Shaun of the Dead, which is, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, it is the best piece of zombie satire of the genre, satirizing zombie culture, zombie subgenre of horror. Jesus, and it is one of the best zombie movies of all time, in my opinion. What I appreciate is that Little Monsters does not attempt to ape that, or it doesn't attempt to ride those coattails or remind you of satire done right. It does its own thing. So when they're holed up in, for an example, when they're holed up in an area, Josh Gad's character, he does a complete 180 and he flips out, he freaks out, and it's kind of a subtle, like, satirical take on zombie movies where you have a group that's isolated and in a confined space and one of them goes crazy. But what I love about this is that he goes crazy way too soon. And it's like, he is immediately like off the deep end. And the way that the movie portrays it is that it's so early in the outbreak that it takes on a satirical tone all its own. And that satirical tone plays beautifully because it's like the characters are just as confused as he is, or as we are, that he's freaking out so early. And it plays really well. It's very subtle and very, just really charming the way that it is able to do that, without being too, it's a balancing act between having a character freak out in the, at the prospect of impending death versus like while in a room surrounded by a bunch of kids, like and making it funny and making it comical. Like it's a balancing act, and the tone is struck very nicely. There are some decent zombie effects, I guess. Like it's a zombie comedy that has kind of its appeals in terms of having like the kids being focal characters and everything. So it is, I mean, I don't want to say it's a kids movie, but it isn't like necessarily hardcore action gore or anything like that. But it's a good, solid zombie movie in that case. In the growth of the character played by Alexander England, I'm failing to remember his name, his character's name, but the growth of that character is really well done. Like he goes through a transformation throughout the movie that I feel is very earned. Dave is his name. And Alexander England does a fantastic job playing him. And I will say that just it ends on a note of such a sincere, just charm. Like it's a very cute, like borderline schmaltzy ending, but the ending it left me very satisfied and felt very warm. So I was very appreciative of the way that the plot unfolded throughout the movie and the way that it ended. It kind of really hit it out of the park, in my opinion. So that's Little Monsters. It is available on Hulu. I rated it 3 stars on Letterboxd. Very cute, very charming, fun zombie comedy satire. So, next and last, technically, since we'll throw it to me and Mike talking later in the episode, but the next one up is a documentary called Horror Noire from 2019. It is available on Shudder. And I'm going to go ahead and play a clip from the trailer now.
We've always loved horror. It's just that horror hasn't always loved us.
Black people play a particular role in horror films. First, we weren't in it. We were played by white people.
Yeah.
We went from maids to pimps and hoes.
If there was somebody black, they would be the first to die.
Black films hold a mirror up to society, but at the same time give an audience an escape.
Her name is Blackula.
One fellow said to me, you were directing before it was legal.
You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
Yes, that's history. We've shifted from being the focal point of the fear to being the heroes.
This would be unheard of 25 years ago.
If we can use what we've experienced, we can tell stories that people have never seen before.
So the summary, courtesy of IMDb, is a look at the history of black horror films and the role of African Americans in the film genre from the very beginning. So first and foremost, Horror Noire has supplemental stuff on Shudder. I just discovered it today. I haven't watched any of it, but there are hours of cut scenes from the documentary of the talking heads, the panelists talking and everything. So check that out. It's on Shudder. It's called it's Horror Noire Uncut. It's 6 episodes. It's on Shudder. It was came out February 6th, and it just has bonus conversations with the panelists. So hear more of what didn't make the final cut from the Shudder original Horror Noire, A History of Black Horror. So it has just it has conversations with Tony Todd, Keith David, Ken Foree, a bunch of people that were also in the documentary that just didn't make the cut in the documentary. So check that out. So as far as Horror Noire, the documentary itself, I was very much interested and taken by this documentary. It is very thorough. Like when it says that it goes back to the very beginning of the genre to examine African Americans' role within the horror genre, it does. Like it goes way back, and it makes connections with like the Universal monsters that I wasn't aware that was a connection that was to be made. And it's interesting to hear that perspective and hear a perspective of an entire community of people who have been marginalized by this genre. And to see, like, when it gets to the point where they talk about, of course, Jordan Peele and Get Out, like, it is really brings home the triumph of that movie. And not to say that there hasn't been successful African Americans in the horror genre before that, but it was a kind of a watershed moment. And that's something that's depicted very well in the documentary. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Throughout the actual documentary, there are just talking heads. Not even talking heads. They pair up people in the documentary to have conversations. So like Ken Foree from Dawn of the Dead, the original, and Keith David are kind of paired up. They have Tony Todd talking for a while. Like Tony Todd, I just gotta say, like, just his sense of style is just so cool. Like he just looks like he's like in a shirt and a hat or something, I think. But he just looks so cool. I have so much appreciation for him. But yeah, just seeing the people in the documentary talking about their experience, their perspective, and the actual history of just African Americans in the horror genre is just really interesting, thorough. It is very much a celebration of the kind of the growth of African Americans' representation in the horror genre as well. I really got a lot out of it. I really appreciated the perspective that this documentary provided. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. But I will probably check out the Horror Noire Uncut episodes, because it looks like each one is about 25 to 35 minutes. And with the exception of one is like 67 minutes. So there's a lot of content out there. But yeah, and this documentary really made me more aware of, just minorities in the horror genre. And what's interesting is, like, I love Mike for picking a bunch of horror movies for me to watch for this film festival. I may have actually asked him to, I don't know, because I've just gotten away from the horror genre over the years. I really have. So it's really nice to have like Mike be a beacon to refocus me on this genre. And I really appreciated this documentary for kind of opening my eyes to perspectives that I haven't heard, and takes on films that I love, or at least am aware of, and providing a very unique perspective, and to make it a more fulfilling experience actually watching the genre. Yeah, so that's it. That's Horror Noire. I rated it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd, and I'm going to throw it to my recording with Mike for our spotlight screening, our spotlight segment, whatever you want to call it, where we talk about Freaks, the 2018 sci-fi horror thriller movie. And we also get to talk to Mike about his experience with the quarantine and everything that's going on. So enjoy that recording. Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw it to it now. All right.
Yeah.
1,
2,
3,
4, 5,
4,
6,
5,
7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
7,
1,
8.
2, 3,
1, 2,
4.
3, 4, 5, 6. I can't do it. Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something.
So what is this? Is this an obsessive viewer shorty?
The way that it's working, the way that I'm doing it is that basically it's the COVID-19 Film Festival. So, yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm recording episodes on my own, just solo, where I am talking about the movies that I watch while the stay-at-home order is under, when I'm not dying.
Right. So for the next 9 months.
Yes, for the next 9 years until everything goes to shit and we're. You know what's funny? So I probably shouldn't even joke about that.
Why?
Just because the world is so crazy right now that I don't know if I should put any more stuff out there for that.
Bad juju out in the world.
Yes.
I know it.
Yes. God. So the way that it works is that since. First of all, so you gave me a list of like 4 movies. I watched all of them. And then the way I'm doing them is that when I have one of these episodes where one of the hosts gives me a list of movies, I'm choosing one as like a spotlight movie.
Okay.
And then that's when like you and I would talk about that one movie, or me and Tiny talked about Watchmen Season 1.
Okay. Cool.
And that's how I end each episode. So, yep.
I see. So you're recording kind of your reaction?
Pretty much. It's basically like just a solo review of each movie, and then with a special spotlight segment on one particular movie with a co-host.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like, think of it as like the potpourri section of the episode.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sort of. Yeah. Yep. So having said that, which do you want to talk about? Freaks or horror noir?
I think whichever you liked better, because I think horror noir is better, but Freaks is fresher in my mind.
Yeah, I liked horror noir better, but we can talk about Freaks, because I kind of want to get a read on why you liked it. Like, not that it was bad,
okay,
but I think it would be better for me to talk to that movie out, so I can kind of come down on it with a little more confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying horror noir?
No, I'm saying Freaks.
Freaks. Okay, we can do Freaks. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. You might say we're getting freaky. Day 16 of isolation. Yeah. So since it's just a segment on the episode, I'm just going to dive right into it.
Do it.
Hey, Mikey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. It is, as of this recording, it's day 16 of isolation.
Did you work on the weekend? Because it's 18 for me.
Is it? No.
I've been saying like March 14th. Because I went to work on the 13th.
The 17th was my last day in the office. However,
yeah,
I am going into the office one day per week to do paperwork shit.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So technically it's day 16 for me, but technically I have gone to the office and everything.
I see. Yeah.
And I've made what's the word I'm looking for? I need to learn this vernacular for the new world that we're going to be diving into. Scavenging. I went on a couple scavenging runs to the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So other than that, and then I got really excited because one of the local businesses was like, "Oh, we have like donuts. You can get like a special like thing on donuts or whatever."
Yeah.
So I went there Saturday. I was like, I'm going to treat myself to some donuts and everything. And then like I pulled up and I'm like, they don't have a drive-through. I'd have to go inside. And I was just like, yeah. So I was like, all right, just turn around and go to Dunkin' Donuts that I know has a drive-through.
Yeah.
So,
what is some donuts for you? Like if you're gonna have a sitting of donuts, what's your?
Oh, you said some donuts. Okay.
That's what you said, right? You said I'll go get some donuts. What is that to you? Like if you're gonna,
are you saying thumb or some?
Some SOME. Okay. If you're gonna have
perfect.
If you're gonna have breakfast, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do donuts. Well, how many is that for you?
I will do 2 or 3 if I feel like really like hitting the toilet hard.
Okay.
2 or 3. I did get a half dozen just to have in the apartment. So yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Okay. When we go like as a family, I have to allot 6 for myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was being modest. I did eat all 6 of the ones that I got.
In that one sitting.
Yeah, not in one sitting. I think I did 4 and then 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but there are no donuts. Oh, my God. There are no donuts in the New World, though.
I know. So, I miss the days.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. So let's get into... first of all... How are you guys doing? Because you and Amanda are both teachers. They just announced today all Indiana schools are going to remain closed for the remainder of the school year.
Yes, which they had made that announcement actually a week ago for our school. Our corporation actually called it a school year.
Oh wow!
Well, I mean, we won't go to the building, but there will be e-learning. But we've been home, kind of like you. Amanda is going in once a week. She's actually an executive assistant out there. She's like one of the front office workers. And so she goes in to kind of, fill out payroll and make phone calls and stuff. But yeah, I have been home, and she actually kind of volunteered to be the scavenger since she's going to work and the potential to be exposed. But other than taking a few like rides in the car around town to just show to get out. Yeah, I have not left the house.
Jeez.
Well, okay, and then running outside, but I haven't been anywhere.
Right.
In now 3 weeks.
Yeah, and really, there's nowhere to go.
No, right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just talked to my comic shop yesterday. The comic shop that I am a frequent patron, not mycomicshop.com.
Right.
Shout out to Comic Quest in Evansville.
Nice.
And they are able to ship my comics to me, which is cool.
Sweet.
So I PayPal'd them, and I'll let those sit out on the porch for 3 days and let all the virus die on it. It's weird.
Nice.
It's a crazy world.
It is super crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, long way to answer your question. I apologize. You asked how I'm doing. Really... Man, not to make light of kind of a scary situation, and I know some people are very sick, and I know a lot of people are already dying, and that's a sad thing. But I'm really okay. What I've been trying to do is kind of reach out to a lot of my friends who maybe aren't having as easy a time, and just try to. Not that I think I'm not sending prayers anywhere or anything, but I just want to send calming vibes to anybody who needs it. I've been like, hey, does anybody want to play Pokemon, or does anybody, I've been doing my live streams, playing guitar and those kinds of things. It's weird. It's been a weird sense of like my life slowing down a little bit. And I know that parents, when their kids are older, they're always like, man, don't you wish we had them when they were 4 and 2 again for a little longer? And I'm like, I'm getting that time with them that you wish to have later on. So
that is, wow, holy shit. That's a really good perspective to have on it.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I mean,
I don't mean to make light. I know people are having a hard time with it, but
I was just about to make the joke that I've got the time of like my 4-year-old cat now. I've got
These are the years we cherish most with our cats.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what's funny? Speaking of COVID-19 and people on Facebook posting their unpopular opinions,
Oh yeah.
And I just decided to not include myself in that conversation.
Oh, nice.
And, one of my themes that I've said many times on this podcast is to just promote what you love, not what you hate, and send out positivity. So it's just like, there are all kinds of things that I don't like that people do like. I'm not actually not a part of that, but I think it goes against who I'm trying to be to put that out there.
I totally get that. I absolutely get that.
That said, speaking of your cat, my number one on my list is other people's pets.
Other people's pets just blanket
animals
statement.
Animals.
Really?
I don't like animals. I'm gonna be. You know what? If you need to excommunicate me, if I'm like canceled, if this is my cancel moment, I'm kind of like out of the closet on this. I don't like animals. They don't make me happy. I don't like pictures of animals.
Wow.
I know it.
Huh.
I love my dog. My dog Kevin is great, and I really love him because I have an attachment. And maybe I got him before I got so sour on it. But I think a big thing for me is like when people like call their animals fur babies and like they make the comparison.
I draw the line there.
Yeah, which I know that you do, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. However, I will say that I do refer to Pizza as my pretty little pizza princess, and she's my little baby.
I know it.
And everything. But she's not my fur baby. Like, okay.
I think right. I think having kids kind of changed things for me.
Oh yeah.
I do actually like find kids cute and other people's kids pretty cute. Okay. Like I'm kind of a kid person. I like kids. But yeah, I just like people like here having a set like on Twitter from this quarantine stuff. It's like, I know it's sad out there. Send me your cute dog pics. And I'm like, that would not. I don't want anybody's dog pics. I don't want anybody's cute dog pics. None. I posted one yesterday on my Instagram of my dog Kevin who was happy, and I was like, this might be the first picture of Kevin I have posted ever.
You know, to be completely honest, I haven't been down to visit you since Oscar was a little baby.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's funny because like I legitimately like I wasn't sure like is Kevin still alive? Because I never see pictures.
Yeah, I know. Well, my favorite thing is being a dad, and I'm obsessed with my kids. So. The dogs take a back seat. Waldo did pass away. We put him down back in November.
Yeah, I do remember that. And once again, I am my condolences.
Thank you. I had a soft spot for him too, but that was kind of
interesting.
But yeah, man, I don't like animals.
Well, I'm going to change your mind. Every day for the rest of this quarantine, you are getting pizza pictures like no other.
Unfollow. I would be more interested in pictures of your pizza food.
Oh, that's interesting. You know what I've been doing since the obviously I've been cooking a lot more for myself and everything, because usually I am just like, just order out. Go get like Yats or something, and then like eat it there and listen to podcasts or something.
Right.
But I can't do that anymore. So
is Yats is that Cajun place, right? With the etouffee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Delicious food. Loud but delicious. Mm-hmm. But what was I going to say? What I've been doing is that I've been making like basically just bachelor food. So like
bagel bites.
Like yeah. Oh yeah. Like I have tortillas and I put pizza sauce on them, and then I put mozzarella and pepperoni, and then put it in the microwave for like a minute and a half, and that's my like lunchtime snack. So yeah. So it's been good. It's been good. Eating a lot of cereal too. So that's good.
Yep. Same though. Yeah. All right, we better get to talking about a movie, or this is never going to happen.
Better. Yes. So just to recap, everything's cool. You guys are doing well.
We are safe and
crazy.
Happy and healthy.
Perfect. That is great. That is great to hear. I feel like there's a little bit of my voice feeding back onto your mic, but I don't think that should be that much of a problem since you're recording. So anyway,
okay, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
What are you doing? Someone could have seen you.
You know the punishment for breaking the rules.
No, Dad!
You opened the door. You almost got us killed. You have to stay hidden.
Till when?
This is not a game. Did you go outside?
No.
You can never lie to me.
I'm not lying.
Want to know what's in an ice cream truck? Frozen kid bodies.
Come inside. Taste any flavor you want.
sorry. They might have followed me.
Daddy, are you okay? What happened?
So, we are talking about Freaks, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the spotlight screening of COVID-19 Film Festival technically day 6, but we're recording this day 16, is Freaks, the 2018 horror thriller movie that I had no idea existed, and yeah, but let's talk about it. You were a fan.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed either, and I think one of the things I appreciated most about it, for the record, I liked it quite a bit. And I'll talk about why in a little bit, but a little bit of background. So on Letterboxd, I have just these lists of, there's the watch list, movies you want to see, and then other random like horror movie, like here's a list of movies I'm gonna double feature on a Tuesday night, because that's kind of my out there horror movie risk taking night. Like if I'm gonna watch a garbage horror movie, I'm gonna double feature it on Tuesday. That's been my thing for since the beginning of last year, January 2019. And so this one has been on my list, man, for a while, and to be honest, I can't even remember where I wrote it down. So it was a little like off of my radar for a long time, and then I'm just looking for what I can stream for free. And this was on Hoopla. I found out it was on Netflix later, and that's when I recommended it to you. But I watched it on Hoopla.
Wait, what's Hoopla?
Hoopla is a streaming service that is, it's like married to your library card account.
Oh, okay.
And so I stream a lot of stuff on Hoopla, because if you have a library account, you can use that card to sign into Hoopla and borrow their library. I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know if it's specifically, expressly affiliated with EVPL, Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library, or if it's a broader thing. What's that?
I said shout out.
Shout out to EVPL. What up? Central location. Shout out to Sarah Scheller at the Northside location.
God. Oh, wow.
And so I watched it on Hoopla, and I gotta say, man, I put it on really with low expectations. I've kind of been off of the Emil Hirsch bandwagon for a little while. I do like Amanda Crew a lot, and I didn't know she was in it until she shows up about halfway through the movie. And man, to me, it was just like a fun surprise. It's kind of it's a riff on a superhero movie. I read it described like, this is if X-Men were in the real world, but I think I think X-Men is X-Men if it were in the real world. I think they all are trying to do that. So that's kind of a trite commentary to make on it. But it is a more grim take. I think a lot of like the DC extended universe wants to make movies that look like Freaks, but never does it, I guess, with the panache, frankly, I think Freaks did with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, total. Oh, I was just going to say, just real quick, plot summary courtesy of IMDb.
Sure.
A bold girl discovers a bizarre, threatening, and mysterious new world beyond her front door after she escapes her father's protective and paranoid control. Also, gotta say, very interesting viewing in the time of COVID-19.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Yeah. Also, had no idea that was Amanda Crew.
Until just now?
Yeah, until just now.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I was. I liked the movie. I liked it well enough. I like Emil Hirsch. I like Grace Park also, and Bruce Dern. I have been just a huge fan of his for a while now. So, all of them, like, they're very good. And yeah, I totally get that, the kind of grounded X-Men kind of comparison, but I don't know, something about it just I don't know if I would say that it didn't compute for me or didn't work for me, but it I wasn't blown away by it, I'll say that. I did enjoy it though.
Well, it's I think the aspiration for it, like their ideas were maybe bigger than the budget could provide for. I mean, I think there was some real significant shoddy CGI.
Yeah,
I mean, frankly, the film was lousy with bad CGI, and that's whatever. But you don't see. Let me say, including it on a horror list was a bit of a mistake. It starts out with elements of horror, right? She's trapped in here. There's I'll use air quotes. There's a ghost in her closet that's screaming at her. But really quickly, it's a hard left turn out of the horror genre at all. Yeah. I mean, it's thriller, sci-fi more than anything. Yeah. And so I wasn't scared by it. So there's not that. But again, you can go back to every time I've been on this podcast talking about a sci-fi movie. I'm up for any time anybody tries sci-fi because we just don't get it anymore.
Oh yeah, and I've become such a huge fan of science fiction, and like I appreciated the movie for that for sure.
Right. So it was cool. Yeah. I like, you find out that certain characters have superpowers, and there's a character who can manipulate time in a very cool way that I don't. We got Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, which was really fun the first time, and then they literally just ripped off the first time again in Apocalypse. It's the same exact scene. That's so dumb. Yeah. But the first time it's done, it's novel and cool and interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
And this manipulates time in a very different way, but equally effective for me. I mean, there were moments where I gasped and said, wow, out loud. My wife, who doesn't generally watch these movies with me, was like at the other end of the basement, and she was like kind of listening along, and about 20 minutes in, she like sat on the couch and watched it with me. We were both really intrigued, again, by... It's not going to make any end-of-the-year lists, but a total surprise is so much fun to watch. Especially, I think, in context on a Tuesday night, when I'm really watching a lot of bad horror movies. To watch something that's a real treat. I really had fun with Freaks. And it's an easy one to recommend.
Mm-hmm. And that reveal of the kind of time dilation stuff was really cool. Like it came at such a cool moment, and I really appreciate it for that. Another thing I really like, what made me latch onto it in the beginning, and then obviously that latching kind of faltered a little bit, but like it immediately hooked me because I really liked the way that Chloe is the girl's name.
I think so.
How the movie is kind of at least the first act is entirely through her perspective, and like you are brought into this whole thing where it's like you don't know whether or not you as the viewer are supposed to trust Emil Hirsch or not, or if like they are even related or anything.
Right, yeah. There's almost this kidnapping element to it, although I don't know that I would say kidnapping element, but like what are his intentions is definitely a question we're supposed to ask. And then there's the ice cream man character early on who to me strikes me as sinister for a good chunk of the film. And then you're kind of wondering as the movie goes on whose side he's on and kind of what role does he play. I really liked that a lot.
And the contrast between inside the house and like the brief moments we get shots of outside the house in the beginning, it's like it feels so surreal and so weird. Like, because you just see this guy in an ice cream truck, and it's just like it has this kind of otherworldly kind of element to it that I was really into. And then once the plot kind of got moving and the secrets were kind of unraveled for me, I was just like, oh, this is the movie that it is. It's fine, but I was just kind of more intrigued by what the movie could have potentially been, but what the movie could have possibly been, like the different possibilities.
Sure.
And once it landed on one, it just kind of was okay for me.
Yeah, that juxtaposition at the beginning where they're in the house and then what we see outside of the house is so strong at the beginning. You almost wonder how and then if they're going to play with that idea throughout. Yeah. And you're right that they don't really, except to say that inside the house is kind of this world that he believes the world is. And then outside is kind of this fake serenity, because it's stark. Like at the beginning of the movie, we're like, oh, you know, I think it suggests post-apocalypse, or, you know, it's like they're dreaming. You know, anything you see outside kind of looks like dreams. And then, you know, not to spoil too much, you find out that it's not a dream, and that the outside does not reflect what the inside of the house looks like so much. And I kind of agree with you that they don't play on that so much.
And not to say that I feel like that's not necessarily like a criticism on my part. That's just where my mind was going, because I can't fault the movie for being the movie that
what
it is,
right? Yeah,
and not being what I thought it might have been. But
no, but I think it sets up that dichotomy. Like, I don't blame you for I'll go as far as saying hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board with it, and then when it kind of revealed itself, I was like, oh, okay. I'm still on board with it, but my interest is a little more contained and waned a little bit.
Yeah. It's also, man, God bless it for being a tight 83 minutes.
Oh, yes. Like, I have gotten such a new appreciation for like those brief, like tight movies like that, just because like the way that I'm doing it is I'm working from home now, and just playing it in the background and doing my work and watching it. I'm so happy that I'm not in the call center anymore, because I don't have calls interrupting me, so I can actually watch a movie and work.
Right.
So it's pretty nice.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
the world's going to hell, but it's nice.
I almost like prefer the opportunity to do a double feature and just get in and out of a thing.
Oh yeah.
So
it
was
same here.
That was nice.
Yeah. So this movie came out in like 2018. I feel like it was like on the festival circuit or something.
It says 2018, but I think that's a little not dubious isn't the word, but I think that's a loose. I think festivals in 18, and then digital release in 9. It feels like the movie I would have seen in theaters if it were around, but it certainly was not.
Yeah. Yep. Like that plot summary from IMDb came from the Toronto International Film Festival.
Yeah, right.
So
exactly.
It probably had like a festival run and then VOD and streaming.
If, by the way, you're listening to this in the future, in the year 2020, at the beginning of the year 2020, there were movie theaters. You could actually go with a crowd to watch the movies that you watch on home on your television, blown up big, sometimes 60 feet television, or not television, but screens in the best quality and the best sound possible. They were called movie theaters, and you would sit in these chairs. You've probably seen them around town.
Yeah,
people used to watch movies in them.
You know, you might see them in movies and TV, like
right?
Movie
Yeah.
That's not a fictional thing.
Yes,
that's something that happened. Yeah.
I guess people know what those are. Do you remember, Matt, the last movie you ever saw in a theater?
Oh yes, it was. As of this recording, it was a long 3 weeks ago, I think. I saw The Way Back.
Oh,
with,
nice. Okay.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, the prequel to The Way Back.
Yes. And the sequel to Fastball's The Way.
Yeah, that's right.
Song.
My last movie ever was Onward, Pixar's Onward.
Oh, nice. Oh, I already told the story on the podcast, but I went to an advanced screening of Onward, and did I tell you the story?
No.
So it's a packed theater because it's one of those advanced screenings where they pack the theater and stuff. A lot of kids, a lot of adults, obviously. It's fine. So I get there like with 20 minutes before showtime, and it's already packed. And usually they have like press like seating, but they didn't have it. So I sat down, and this couple sat down in the row, like it was a short row, sat down a couple seats away from me. Had a little 2-year-old baby, I think. Or 2-year-old kid, and like there was like a 4-year-old with her family in the row in front of us. They were talking and everything. This is right when like COVID-19 is like starting to like hit the news and everything.
Yeah.
The girl in the row in front of us kept coughing, and her parents made no effort to tell her to cover her mouth, like at all.
Ugh.
And then 10 minutes into the movie, the couple sitting next to me got up, left with their kid, and about 5 minutes after they left, I looked over, and there was a pile of kid puke on the ground right next to me.
No.
And they made no attempt to clean it up. They made no attempt to get someone to clean it up or anything. And they were gone for the rest of the movie.
Jeez.
Yep. And then postscript to that, I went to the bathroom afterwards, and the guy at the urinal next to me did not wash his hands. And the door was a pull.
Cut to, this is why we're here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the door was a pull, and there was no paper towels. It was just the automatic dryer, so I couldn't,
gross.
Gross. So, anyway.
Well, hey, my time is just about up, so if you want to kind of put a cap on Freaks.
Absolutely. So we've got Mike's official recommendation to watch Freaks, an 87-minute movie.
I think it's I think it's a little longer than that. IMDb says an hour 46, but man, I swear it's shorter than that. It's a breeze. It's a real breeze.
It's a breeze. Yeah. Yep. And I liked talking it out with you, and I gained some more appreciation for it, and I might revisit it sometime.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mikey. And if you want to throw me 4 more movies just in the pod chat later,
okay.
And we can maybe do this again.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm definitely up for it. If we keep them short like this, I can probably sneak away for a little while.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And
hey, if I could really quick, listeners, this will go out right to listeners.
Yes.
So my band, As Good as It Gets. Yeah, thank you. We just released our new single. There's no album coming out. It's not an EP. We just kind of wanted to put a single out there while people are home. It's called Usual Suspect, and it's exclusive right now to Bandcamp. So if you go to asgoodasitgetsband.bandcamp.com, and I'm sure Matt will put a link in the show notes here, and download our single. It's just $1, and if you could throw $1 our way, we'd sure appreciate that to kind of keep this music thing afloat. So hopefully you guys like that. We're really proud of this song. I actually mixed and mastered it myself, and I'm kind of proud of that.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a little different this time. Dustin wrote the song. He played guitar. It's his vocals, but the drums, I played the drums on. I played bass on it, and then I mixed and mastered it. So it's his song, but I'm also kind of really proud of the back end of it. Really feels half my song, and so we're really proud of this song together. So please give that a listen if you like.
Perfect.
If you like pop acoustic music.
Absolutely. It's a real banger. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also, are you guys going to do any more of the live, like Facebook Live stuff or anything?
I think so. We don't have anything scheduled right now, but it's so easy to do that I bet there will be something soon. Just kind of follow me on Facebook, follow the band on Facebook and Instagram, and I just kind of jump on. We live in a weird times, weird world right now. So I just jump on randomly and play songs. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on YouTube. I put songs there a couple times a week these days.
Perfect. Well, awesome. And I'm so glad that, that's the one thing, and I'm so glad that we have the internet. Like, the internet exists. Like,
oh, man,
I can't imagine, like, I would have to read books or something if I didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
shout out to Al Gore.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, God. All right. Well, I'll let you go.
All right, man. I love you. Thank you for having me on.
Love you too, buddy. Bye. Yep. Bye. All right. It's me again, breaking in at the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys are checking out these things that we are talking about, these movies and everything, because we're all we all should be home, unless absolutely essential for us to leave. And these are all available to stream on various services, so check that out whenever you can. So next up on the podcast will be OV312 COVID-19 Film Festival Day 16. So we took a break, took a jump and everything. So that episode is going to be me talking about a bunch of stuff that I watched on Netflix, and hopefully me and Tiny talking about Tiger King. So look forward to that. That'll probably drop sooner rather than later if I can get my shit together. Once again, before I close out this episode, just want to reiterate that you can check out Can Cinema and Brasserie Check that out on Facebook, Can Cinema and Brasserie, link in the show notes, as well as at their website, cancanindie.com. And make sure to check out their Can On Demand screening at home cinema. Friday, April 3rd, press play at 8 p.m. for The Social Network. That's their Can at home cinema. Yeah, there is a link in the show notes to check that out. So, yeah, without further ado, thank you guys so much for further ado. Yeah, I think me and Tiny are about to record too, so that's going to be a fun episode. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay indoors. For the love of God, stay indoors. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Let me know what you thought about the movies and everything and the episode. And yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time. And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy. This is, I don't even know what day it is of isolation. I don't know if I would even count it as isolation. Well, yeah, it is isolation because I haven't gone anywhere. I've gone to the store a couple of times and work a couple of times. And that's since I don't even know when. I don't know. I know that it's been 20 days since I've seen a movie in a movie theater. And I had a dream where I was seeing a movie in a movie theater. And I tweeted about that, but part of the dream was that I was in line at concessions, and then I got into the theater and sat down, and the first thing I saw was a trailer for Fast 9 and something about Keanu Reeves. I don't know. This is premium content you're paying for, me talking about my dreams. So all this stuff's going on is crazy.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. And follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Feckus, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktoberInIrvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone, and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, the Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!